Hello, everyone, and welcome to this exclusive interview with founder of Iugo.World, Windy Fama. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to answer these questions that people have about this homeschool community that you have created. It's a really neat project, and if you guys aren't familiar, Iugo.World is a private homeschool community, web and mobile app with curated K through 12 educational resources, special interest groups, events, and a team of teachers and consultants that will empower you with the tools you need to create a thriving homeschool. Thank you so much for joining us today, Wendy.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So, the first question that I have is why was Yugo.World created? What kind of inspired you to create this homeschool community?
Well, I created it based on my own experience as a homeschool mom. My kids are now in college. Actually, my youngest is starting her first semester of college next month. So, when I just through my personal experience, I found that there were so many gaps in the homeschool in our homeschool journey, and throughout the 12 years that we homeschooled basically, I kind of just took a lot of notes and experimented with my kids with different programs, and it basically came down to me saying, you know what, I can't be the only one. And so I thought, what better way than to share my experience, one as a mom, and then through this, I also became a head of school for an IB World school. So it's kind of just the marriage between formal academics and formal homeschooling. So this is a platform where I'm able to share with the community what I've learned.
So, what is your background and experience? You just touched on a little bit that you were a teacher. Why did you want to create Yugo.World? How did your experience kind of inform that process of starting Yugo.World?
Well, I found myself in another country, and I had two very small children that were entering, their academic development stage, and and so for me, having grown up in the United States and knowing that they, at the end of the day, at the end of their development, they would have to go to college in the United States. I wanted to make sure that they were prepared with not only the language, but just a lot of our academic system is very different, and even though we're homeschooling, when kids get into college, again, they're back out there in this formal school system. So I had to make sure that they were prepared for that. And one of the things that I found, and this was my case, and this is the big myth that, oh, homeschooling kids aren't social and whatnot. But in our case, it was actually very true because we were in a rural setting. So for me, it was like, yes, we are a bit isolated. I need to get my kids out there. So we started reaching out to other families that wanted to study off the grid, as they say, and so we created a small co-op that finally blew up into maybe a learning center, I want to say, and then from there, I was as an academic, I was very interested in international mindedness. So we became an IB World School, well, for the PYP, which is K through 5. And so for us, that's where I really started to look at, okay, what am I doing home with my kids, with my children, and where children are in the rest of the world, not on a competitive level, but more of a preparatory level, so that again, I could be sure that regardless of what I'm doing at home, it may be aligned with our family culture and our values, but I also need to make sure that my children are fully prepared, for their tertiary education when they go off to college, be it in the United States, Europe, or in Mexico where we were at the time.
Hello, Carolina. Thanks for joining us, and Calvary as well. Hello, guys. If you guys have any questions for Wendy, go ahead and share them in the comments, and I'll be sure to ask her. So, what is the philosophy behind Yugo World?
The philosophy is basically giving parents the tools they need, giving the parents the tools that teachers actually have when they're, planning, the resources that they'll need to get all of the content together. And sometimes these mean standards. For some parents, they don't want standards; they want projects. Um, we make sure, and this is I think, one of the key areas of Yugo.World is that we are research based. So for us, it's very important that our parents have a team behind them. They may say, okay, so we're gonna, be on the road for 2 months. How do we know exactly what this should align to? We really want to do this because our kids want to do this, and this is what's important to us. But we've got your back. We're the ones that are going to say, okay, that's great. Let's connect these to maybe international standards, and just make sure that that knowledge and skills are being developed as well. As much as that creativity and that experience. Sometimes in homeschooling, we could be a little off balanced in that sense. And so we're just there to make everything kind of come together in conjunction or in partnership with the parents.
So basically, the parents are able to spend their time doing the research on the fun stuff, and then you can handle the more academic things. And that
Exactly.
gives them more time to be able to do some more of the fun projects. I like that. So
Yes.
what makes this different? You kind of touched on this a little bit, but what makes this different from other homeschool services or products that are currently available?
I think the key ingredient with Yugo.World is that it is personalized. There's nothing more that I enjoy than getting on a call with the parent and saying, okay, what do you need? And then listening to the parent and then saying, okay, let's map this out. Some parents are usually, when they get to me, they're a little bit frustrated or flustered, or they can't find something and they thought it was going to be easier than it actually was. And basically, we're there to say, okay, so this is what you need, and let's try to get this in line with what you want. That is something that I know is extremely expensive to do, and sometimes you're limited. You can't just get someone, get a meeting, in less than 24 hours, and sometimes you just need it immediately. And if I'm available, I mean, this is what I love to do. And then my team as well. So we've got different people for different things. The consultations I usually do myself, but we have someone also that would be able to help you get content together. And that's something that I haven't seen out there too much, that I feel that at least when I was homeschooling, it was something that would have just made my life so much easier. So I really hope that parents are able to find relief in this aspect of Yugo.World.
So you actually offer consultations then for homeschool parents, so they can actually get consultation with you to be able to help them, like if they are stuck on something or their kids like just not connecting with the curriculum, or like if they have any bumps along the road, they actually have someone that they can actually contact and brainstorm on solutions.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to add, sometimes I get parents that say, oh, I'm ready to scrap my curriculum, and we're like mid-year. And it's really sad because that level of frustration, is transmitted throughout the entire learning environment. And it's not, and it's just because, teachers don't do it alone. And a lot of parents don't realize this, but teachers have a huge team starting, with the state level of constant training. They've got colleagues, they've got leadership, they have assistants. Some schools have assistants, and so they do have a team to do what they do. And parents just think, I've got to know all of this. And sometimes we come from backgrounds where teaching was never in our dialogue. And then all of a sudden, because we're looking for the best, type of environment for our student or our child, we have them at home, and then we have to convert into teachers. So yes, if a parent, comes to me and says, I want to scrap my curriculum, it's not really about that. It's making the curriculum work for you. Some teachers, I'm sorry, parents just think, okay, I have to teach the curriculum, but we're not teaching curriculum. We're teaching a child. So, that's where we need
I
to
like
find
that.
that transform. Mhm.
So, what are some of the other benefits that members have with Yugo.World?
Well, we have so much going on, and I think again, personalization, and from there you can count on language classes. We have right now this amazing Spanish group 3 times a week. Our Spanish classes are scheduled short for 30 minutes 3 times a week, but geez, this week they've run into an hour just because we had a student that was traveling and sharing his experience. They're real classes. I love how the students connect. They know each other by name, what's going on, and their pets, and it's that community where they can connect. So we have classes that are live. We have curated curriculum. We have resources, field trips. We are an umbrella school as well, registered via affidavit with the California Department of Education. So we can handle all of that for you. We do document issuance. We have an amazing transcript templates and keeping track of those hours and whatnot for college, because it's a process I just went through with my children. And so there's pretty much whatever you need. You will, if we don't have it, and we don't have everything because there's no one size fits all as far as homeschooling services go, but we will find it for you and connect you with other organizations, because we see a lot of power in strategic alliances as well.
Very cool. Yeah, that's a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
Um, I have to ask, and I'm going to skip down to past a couple of questions here, but um, that's a lot of services. How is it so reasonably priced at $12 a month, and why?
Right. Yes, it is very reasonable. Because, well, it's designed to complement what parents already have. So, we all work really hard for what we have. And I don't think, in our founders, we don't think that education should be limited by dollars. I think that's one of the reasons we pulled our children out of school. So we do rely on other sources like sponsorships and whatnot to have these services at this price for parents. But the idea is that Iugo.World, even if you have paid for curriculum, or your children are enrolled in an online school, or you're using an online program or books or whatever, you can still be a part of Iugo.World because it is so inexpensive, and fill in those gaps again. Um,
This
that's
is like your support network, basically. You're
Yes.
able to have all of these different people that have all this experience. You're able to fill that socialization need. There's just so many different ways that it really complements any existing curriculum that you have. So, how can homeschoolers make this a part of their day? Like, how do you can you give me an idea of like a typical day with Yugo.World? Typical day with Yugo.World.
Sure. Yes. So with lesson planning, for example, we'd love for you to start with us. Let's say you're going to, teach a unit on magnets. You can look up that content with Hugo.World, and then maybe compare it to what you have, use what we have, or you can throw out some questions into the community. I'm doing this unit. I'm using this curriculum. What are some experiences you have? Any suggestions for labs? And then you can also, combine that with one of our Spanish classes, for example. And then as you teach the unit, or maybe you want a field trip. So what we do ask parents to do is when they sign up, to be sure to get that zip code in, because the minute we see that zip code, our team starts to look for field trips all in your area. And so we try to align them with some of these standards so that students have an opportunity to build skills while they're outdoors. So that's another way you can use Iugo.World. For co-ops, for example, we do have, once we interview with the co-op leader and we fully vet the co-op, we'll give you a space where you can have like your own page within our platform so that you can connect with your group and utilize all of our resources, and also, you know, grow your co-op. Or we also have these individual groups. For example, we have a great college bound group for homeschoolers that have kids from 9 to 12, and it basically gives you a rundown of what you need, what skills and knowledge the kids need to make that way and transition into college. So we have these amazing specialty groups as well that you can connect with, and just kind of be guided throughout the day whenever you need it.
And so you said something there about co-ops. So it's not just for families to sign up for then. There's also something available for co-ops as well.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You can have your own group, and that would connect all of your members through an internal messaging system that is very safe. And then at the same time, you can access the entire community, and it just kind of keeps things a little more safe than being maybe on Facebook or
Right.
some of these other more public spaces.
So what kind of benefits are people going to get if they're like a new homeschool family versus if they're like an established homeschool family? What kind of is the differences in services that you offer? Is it for just new people? Is it for established homeschoolers as well? Kind of like give me the rundown on that, on like who was going to benefit from Yugo.World.
Sure. For new families, what I love to do is get online with them first, and we actually have this really wonderful homeschool roadmap, we call it, from
Oh,
start
cool.
to getting on, a thriving homeschool. So we would basically talk about what your philosophy is, what your family culture is, your hours, etc., and the experience that you have maybe with teaching. Some families, we have actual teachers as the head of the homeschool, and then others, parents are actually working from home at the same time. So we'll just try to find your path based on what aligns to your family, and then we'll set up the entire journey for you. And I mean, this is not a map set in stone. Obviously, these are guiding, and we'll establish some milestones as well. And then, of course, we can always adjust as we go along. And then for more seasoned homeschoolers, sometimes it might be designing a project that will be challenging. We have a science and technology fair coming up this year. We also will be sponsoring, or actually organizing, a wonderful young entrepreneurial fair as well
Oh,
in two
cool.
different cities. Yes, so for some seasoned homeschool families, these are opportunities where the kids can really put into practice and show what they've learned, and in a way that can be seen by the general public, and then that challenges them intellectually and emotionally on a whole nother level. And those are some of the activities that as homeschoolers we just value so much because there's so few. So as our company and our community grows as well, we're hoping to have many different activities and events like that throughout the US.
So what does Yugo mean?
Yeah, right. Yes, so it is pronounced you go, and it means connecting. Connecting, just it actually means yoke. So, but it's basically a center that connects everyone. So,
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Wendy, for joining us. I think you answered all of my questions wonderfully.
great.
If you guys have any questions for her, be sure to put them in the comments. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer your questions even after the interview. I'll make sure to tag her if you guys are watching the replay and you have questions. Go ahead, share them in the comments. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day to share with us about Yugo.World.
No, thank you so much for having me on. It was such a pleasure.
So, I do want to encourage everyone that if you are interested in trying Yugo.World, you should really check out their free 30-day trial of their pro plan. I'm going to actually show the link on the screen here. Um, Tell us a little bit about the free trial that you're offering right now.
Sure. So Iugo.World, we're offering a 30-day free trial in which members can also sign up for free to the Iugo.World Academy, which is our umbrella school. And California has one of the more stricter homeschool laws. So we're quite thorough in making sure that our members are complying with all the different guidelines for the different states. As a matter of fact, on one of our pages, you can go directly to an interactive U.S. map, click on your state, and it'll take you to the Department of Education in your state. And we've got those covered for you. So during the 30 days, you can just experience Yugo.World firsthand. And then after that, if you're happy with the community, then you can just sign up for $12 a month and cancel at any time after that.
So affordable. Thank you so much for making this available. I think that is so cool to see when people are and homeschool moms are able to see a need in the community and they're like, I'm going to fill this need. I'm going to make sure that other people can have access to these resources that I wanted. I just think it's such a wonderful thing about the community, just everyone coming together to really support each other. And that's something I really love.
Yes, it is indeed. And I've been inspired by so many homeschool moms before me, and I hope that I'll be able to share my valuable experience with others as well.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And also dropped a link to the free Spanish class that they're going to be hosting on February 13th. Go ahead and RSVP to that if you want to kind of get an idea of what the live classes are like. They're offering a free class in the group and on our YouTube channel.
Yes, we look forward to that as well. Hope you join us.